Good evening. How are we all? Nick. Oh, mate, what time does EastEnders finish? Surely you can anticipate what's going to happen in that. Someone's going to crack someone round the back of the head with a shovel and bury them. Doesn't that happen every episode of EastEnders? Bored. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Infinite 224. What's going to be in the next version? Wow, there's a question. A lot of little bug fixes, really. If I get a chance during the cruise, I might read them all out to you. There's a huge list. Oh, there you go, Nick. I've done it just in time for you. Wonderful. So, testing on a Friday night. It's just been released to us pre-testers. So, I thought we'd do a quick hop, an hour, and of course, where is the best place to fly into for a test but Innsbruck? It's a very difficult airport to get in and out of correctly. So, we thought we could pop it through its paces. And we are where we left off. Good Lord, look at the weather. We are at, we're in Hamburg, but we are not at Hamburg Airport, of course. We are at Finkenwerder, where we arrived last night. Alexander, hello, thanks for joining. Magic Norm, good to see you. So here we are. The 0.5.2 stable build version of the FlyByWire A320NX. So in terms of what's changed, there's, as I said, a lot of little bug fixes. Ferran, hello. And in terms of these bug fixes, the things like just changing cruise descent speed to acknowledge speed restrictions, 2 tiny fixes to the flight phase speeds, altitude button setting on speed on ATC request, error messages now print for invalid trip wins, flight route now hidden in the VOR rows and ILS rows modes, which I'm looking forward to testing because that always annoyed me. Fix the first officer's display being synced with the captain's displays. That doesn't bother me too much because I normally turn the first officer's displays off just to save on some frame rates. Fix the outer fuel tank transfer fuel. Now you may have seen that message flashing up occasionally. Well, once that's open, that should remain open until you're refueling again. So hopefully that shouldn't blink anymore if we end up filling the inner tanks. This is a good one. Fix the spoiler auto retract after landing. We've seen the last few landings that I've done in the streams that the spoilers are still up, so once we get down at Innsbruck, fingers crossed, we should see the spoilers retract automatically. Fix flaps 1 unrecoverable dives. That's not something I have anticipated or seen, but good to know that it's fixed. Fix the connection issue when using default ATC. Again, I wouldn't know anything about that because I don't use default ATC. Fix the typo in the descent preparation checklist. My checklists aren't the ones that are inbuilt into the flight sim or fly-by-wire, so I wouldn't have known about that. Fix the TCAS traffic mode switch not turning. Not actually seen an issue with that, so that might have been in a dev build. Fix some lighting as well, added missing unit conversions to cruise and engine pages, improved the flat auto retraction detection, and apparently there was some overlapping text on the chronometer. So there we are, apart from that. So Brandon Dell, there was a bug in 5.1 where you would nosedive into the ground on takeoff or approach if you stayed on flaps 1 for too long. Hope that's fixed. I think I've just talked about that. Yep, fixed for flaps 1 unrecoverable dives. That has been fixed in this version. So let's go ahead, get set up, and see if I can pull off a landing at Innsbruck, shall we? I've checked the weather at Innsbruck. It's pretty good. We are on live weather, obviously, again, not on live time. These rain clouds, wow. That's going to be an interesting departure. Okay, so let's get the batteries on. And we'll get some ground power as well. We're not flying on VATSIM. We've no passengers or self-loading cargo, anything like that. We're just going to see what happens. So let's get rid of all the white lights. We can turn on the nav signs. Can we check the cockpit voice recorder? No, not yet. We can't do a test with that just yet. Get the ideas on their way to being aligned. Seatbelts. No smoking or no electronic devices. and probe window heat, landing elevation, packs flowed, battery check, engine fire. We can't test those. Yeah, actually, yes, we can. We can do a test of those. Yeah, so we can test those. We can also test the APU, and we'll get that sorted as well. Nick, have I done the update? Yes, I did. So I think that was just a that's a very minor update. That I believe is just an air rack cycle update. So this is what's delayed my start. Actually, it's the latest version of the flight simulator, and this brand new stable version of the fly-by-wire mod. So we're kind of getting 2 for 1 here. Excuse me. So we'll see how that goes. Start the APU. Let's get some. Let's get the panels all set up as well. I think it's going to be very dark when we take off, so I do want some lights on the flight deck. Looking at those clouds above us, it's going to be rather dim in the cabin until we've taken off. Check the clock is correct. Well, it isn't. It isn't. It's showing 12:33 UTC. We're actually, of course, not flying on live time this evening. Anti-skid is on. Okay, flight deck door. We can lock that. There we go. Switching panel is all set to norm. Thrust levers are at idle. Engine masters are normal. Engine mode selector normal. Parking brake is on, and transponder would be set, but we don't have any ATC. Not at the moment, not for this. We'll grab some weather as well in a moment. Alright, let's go through and pull in the flight plan that we've got for this. Now, there was an issue when this was just set up and released to the testers, that the SimBrief integration, we'd lost that, so let's hope this works. Otherwise, it's going to be a very, very quick test. It's not actually. We can just plonk it all in manually, the old-fashioned way. Okay, so can we get the information from SimBrief? There we go. Fin converter to Innsbruck, 1 hour 2 minutes, and let's look at loading the. No passengers, but fuel. Let me give you the OFP. Mersey Blues, hello, good to see you. Alexander, no, we're not using vPilot, we're not using VATSIM, we're not using air traffic control. We are just flying the aircraft, making sure it all works. Okay, so there is the flight plan for those of you that want to follow that. Block fuel is correct. Get that loaded. Payload is correct. We'll get that loaded as well. And our gross weight at the moment, 66 tons. Takeoff weight is 65.9 tons, so that's pretty accurate. Alright, so let me grab some weather as well. In fact, can we grab the weather yet? We probably can't until I've loaded the init A page. So, or I can, but it's just quicker to do it this way. That all looks good. Cost index of 5. Wow, we're saving money tonight. That's even lower than EasyJet. Alright, let me grab the weather. Weather, AOC menu, weather request, and let's get that sent, see what happens. Oh, Brandon, you don't want that happening after a 3-hour flight. God, no. I can't think of anything more annoying. Oh, big hello from the Czech Republic. Good to see you. Thank you for tuning in and watching on this latest test flight for the new stable version of the fly-by-wire build. Okay, yeah, so the weather's pretty yak where we're departing from, so that's fine. But we're a little bit more interested in what's happening at Innsbruck. So light winds, wonderful. Visibility, great. Few clouds, 6,000 feet, 8,000 feet, no problem at all. That's what I wanted to see. So let's pop the altimeters in. Altimeter 1016 is now set and cross-checked. And we can also turn on the flight directors. they can come on. VOR FCU, let me check and see what our standard instrument departure has us routing for on the initial climb. Initial climb, probably haven't got one, to be fair, on the SID for this, as you would be told to contact Bremen radar immediately after takeoff. So we will just set an initial climb of 11,000 feet. So that's all set up and good to go. Okay, so the instrument panel, primary flight director, all the brightness set, loudspeaker as required, and ECAM status is fine. ECAM recall, IRS alignment, 4 minutes to go. So flight management guidance setup, let's have a look. Aircraft status, so does this tell us we've actually got new data? Yes, we do. So there's the latest air title, which has now been loaded in. That's following the update today that was done. So if anyone's launched their flight sim in the last few hours, you'll have had an update, and that's the latest air title on there, taking us up to the 27th of January. Okay, in its A, let's get that all sorted. That's looking absolutely fine. We should also check our ADIRS position. We can skip over that for now. So flight plan. So either import that or enter it. So we're departing today from runway 23, I think. Nick, yeah, it does sound like a fun idea, that, doesn't it? I think we'll try that. Don't know when we'll start it, but we'll definitely have a go. See if we can get to Australia in the A320, doing our long-haul Monday flights, or marathon Monday flights, whatever you want to call them. Right, the Idaho 6 Whiskey departure. There it is. Pop that in. And for our arrival here, we are using the localizer 26 approach. Let me just double check that. Yeah, localizer runway 26, and it will be via the Tulsi 3 Alpha. Arrival via Rattenberg VOR, very famous VOR, as VORs go. Can you have a famous VOR? Okay, so that looks all good. Check the RadNav pages are set for that. So what I need to do as well is we'll just put in the Finkenwerder. It's actually the ILS code for the runway, but so we get a DME for departure. Pop that in there. And we could also pop in the Rattenberg VOR in VOR2. Not in database. Have I remembered that incorrectly? What's the Rattenberg VOR code? Is it RRT or RTT? RTT. Try again. RTT. Not in database. Oh, that's annoying. Oh, hang on. Rattenberg is not a VOR. Ha! That's why. Silly me. Why did I think it was a VOR? It is a non-directional beacon for which we need to be at 9,500 feet or above. Okay, so that's the flight plan all set up as well. Let's move on to the B page. So our zero fuel weight for this flight is 61.4 tons. And zero fuel weight center of gravity, we can just pop in as 30. Delta Fox on Twitch, hello. Fuel flight plan suggests 4.1, and we're actually taking 4.7, so that's fine. 4.7. There we go. And we have a trip wind of T20. Ooh, excellent. Save a little bit of fuel en route. There we go. Estimated fuel at Innsbruck then is 2 tons, so we've got plenty of that. Takeoff performance page. Let's have a look. So we shall be using flaps 1 for takeoff, and let's just do the flex. So as I said earlier, if you've got the operational flight plan, our takeoff weight is 65909, and we'll just pop that into our calculator. And the METAR here in Hamburg is, I'll pop this into the chat window as well. So here's the current METAR that we're dealing with. There you go. So that looks like fun, doesn't it? So that's for departure, landing runway, taking off runway 23 here, which gives us flex temp of 68. So we pop that in. Let me clear the chat. I've just realised you guys probably won't be able to see that much if that's there. Transition altitude here is, if I remember from yesterday's flight, 5,000 feet. And we can now calculate those V speeds. So V2, 138, VR, 134, V1, 133. Okay, so takeoff briefing. Let us check how the plan is looking. So we take off runway 23. It is a straight out departure. Initial climb up to 11,000 feet with a left turn at about 10 miles DME from the airport. After that, autopilot all the way, and then we hit Rattenberg and we come in on the localizer approach. Now the good thing about the localizer approach, remember, there is no glide slope, so we have to we hold on to that manually. Or I do believe that the track FPA, I thought track FPA was working. Why is that in op? Okay. I could have sworn someone told me that track FPA was now operational. If I've misheard that, please do let me know. But I could have sworn that that was operational at the minute in the latest dev build, so that would automatically, presumably, have been filtered off into this stable build. All right. Okay, so with all that, let's just do a quick check. So engine master's off, engine mode select no, weather radar is off, landing gear is down, both wiper selections are off, and APU fire, we've already done that. Cockpit lights are set, ECAM recall is done. Oil pressure, oil quantity, in fact we can actually check that now as well, I think. That's the cabin pressure. Where is the engines? There we go. And speed brake lever checked, retracted and disarmed. Parking brake is on. IQ brake pressure check. And where are we? QRH, yeah, everything else we can't yet do in the sim. Gordon, so you're going to Reykjavik, from Reykjavik to Zurich tomorrow. Wonderful. Flight Hill, yeah, no problem. If I ever do anything like that, please do give me a verbal slap in the chat and remind me, because I'm an absolute pain for forgetting that things are on. Alright. So, what we need to do, let's just do the before start checklist. So, pushback clearance, we don't have an ATC, so that is effectively a moot point. We can do what we like. Rotating beacon, and transponder to auto, parking brake on, thrust levers idle. There we go. Cockpit preparation checklist is complete. Signs are on auto. The ideas are aligned. Check our fuel quantity as well. That's all set and balanced. And flight management guidance system is all set. We've done that. The altimeter is both set and cross-checked. We'll check the windows and doors. Rotating beacon is on. Mobile phone is off. Parking brake is on. Boss Colon, good evening, and thank you very much again for your generosity donating on to the stream. APU bleed, let's warm up the cabin, and at the same time then we can start to push back. Okay, looking good. And do we have a pushback tug here? No, we don't. No pushback tug. We're all on our own. So let's do a phantom pushback then, as we sometimes get. Which way are we pushing back here? Okay. Before we do, of course, let us ensure that we have not got ground power selected. Otherwise we would be taking the rope with us, the electric cables. Alright, so let's take off the parking brakes. And they can start to push us back to the left. Digital Flight Egg, good to see you again. Thank you for the good wishes. Once again, if you're a little bit late to the stream, this is a new stable version of the FlyByWire mod, which we are testing. So, starting engine 1. And we won't do a single engine taxi, as we're basically going to be taxiing down to the runway, turning around, and yeah, and then departing runway 23. Thank you, Mr. Pushback Tug, even though you're not really there. You're a figment of all our imaginations this evening. Just watching for engine 1 to stabilize. N1 power is spooling up. Let's have a look. Keep an eye on that. Gordon, no, the new stable build is not yet available. This is a pre-test, if you will. So that's engine 1. Engine 2. Turn our taxi light on. And once we've got some power in the engines and of course the hydraulics, we can then set our trim position. So our center of gravity for takeoff is... what is our center of gravity for takeoff? Yeah, so Gordon, your version, if you've got 0.5.1, that is the latest available version. Almost slap bang in the middle, the center of gravity. So that's good. Engine number 2 is now stabilized and available as well. So with that, let's taxi. After start checklist, anti-ice as required. We will turn that on, looking at the amount of moisture we're going to have to fly through. ECAM status is checked. And pitch trim is set, rudder trim set 0. Always worth double checking that is 0, as the rudder trim knob and the mode select knob is, they can, believe it or not, get confused between the two. So engine mode select now to norm. APU can come off. And we can also release the parking brakes, and then off we go. Actually, I never set the parking brakes. Slightly naughty of me. Let's start to roll. Was a little disappointed yesterday we didn't get the really low visibility landing that we were expecting with the clouds when we arrived here. We were expecting a cloud base of 200 feet, but it was well above that when we got here. Never mind. So what's everyone doing on a Friday night? Presumably, if you're here in the UK with me, absolutely nothing, as you're allowed to go to work, and I think that's about it. Okay, so just before we enter the active runway, I turn on all our lights and strobe lights, and then we can continue to configure for takeoff on the way down. Lewis, this is a pre-release version of the mod, my friend, so in testing at the moment, but as soon as it's available you will find it on the FlyByWire page, so keep checking that page out. Oh, Ferran, are you the same in Catalonia as well, also at home? So the current version of the stable build of the FlyByWire mod is 0.5.1. This is 0.5.2, putting it through its paces. So, flaps 1, ground spoilers are armed. We can also set auto brakes to max. Ding the imaginary cabin. Howling crazy. Good evening. How's the weather in Canada? Is it Canada you live? Apologies if I've got that wrong. Hey Patrick, you're smoking cigars and playing poker with some expensive scotch. Well, one, I hope you win, and two, I'm presuming, is that virtual poker? Can I disclose what's in the 5.2 update? Yeah, sure I can, but it's it's quite a list. So let us get airborne and let me get the autopilot on. Oh, how crazy! Why did you're in the UK? Why did I think you were in Canada? Ha. So Lewis, there are a few changes. Some of them are very, very minor. Some of them are actually quite significant. Zionist Jules, good luck on the flight. Thank you, my friend. We all need a little bit of luck where Flight Sim 2020 is concerned. Oh, howling crazy, you're a Brummie. So does that mean you're West Brom or Birmingham? Pick your poison. Okay, so we shall do the before takeoff checklist as well in a moment. Is the audio breaking? Are people having trouble with the stream? Let me just double check. I know the stream rate seems quite good, so it may be you. Aviation simulation, good evening from Sheffield. You're literally around the corner from me, mate. You really are. Okay. Before takeoff checklist. So whilst we do that, let's just get those parking brakes on. Turning the flight director at the first officer screens to off, as I want the frame rates back. Flight controls, full left, full right, neutral, full up, full down, neutral. Rudder, full right, full left, neutral. All these checks very important when testing a new build of the mod. Departure briefing is confirmed. Flap setting config 1 is confirmed. FMA takeoff data is checked. Transponder is set. ECAM memo all blue. So TCAS. Cabin is secured. Engine mode selector is normal. And we can turn on the weather radar. Turn on the wind shear. Turn the packs to off. All lights are on. And we are good to go. So Lewis, yeah, they sorted out that little problem quite a while ago, my friend. Quite a while ago. So parking brake is on. The cabin ready sign is showing on the ECAM. So set about 50% N1. Which is more difficult than it sounds. There we go. With that, we can start the chrono and release the parking brakes. Side stick forward and set flex temp thrust. Man flex, SRS, and runway. Oh, there we go, it's flashing a little bit. That might be my calibration settings. V1 and rotate. It's a little windy on departure. Positive rate of climb, gear up. There is some wind on departure, look at that. It was a crosswind as well, so perhaps why it was why it seemed a little more vigorous than normal. Thrust climb, so lower the nose so we can start to accelerate away. That flight director looks a little bit better as well. Is that going to take me all the way down? No, it's not. That is much better. So we can hold that there, let the aircraft accelerate, packs can come back on. Oh, the flight director has dropped us down a little bit. If you are flying this, don't follow the flight director after you've hit climb thrust, because you will end up flying level, and you obviously don't want to be level, you want to continue to climb. But do lower it so you gain speed. So we're passing S speed now, so flaps at 0. Spoilers can be disarmed. I'll catch up with you guys in the chat in a moment. Okay, and that's looking good. So I'm going to set our climb now. With no ATC or anything, so we can go straight up to 350. Engine rolling back to hold 250 knots below 10,000 feet. That's good. And autopilot 1, engage. Set standard pressure. And there we are, all the way to Innsbruck now on the autopilot. Okay, so let me see, what have I missed in the chat? If anyone did ask me questions at the time I was taking off, that's the worst time to ask, it really is. Maximus, hello from Manchester. Hope you appreciated the little video on Manchester Airport that I popped out this morning. Daniel, yeah, so this is an update for the A320neo fly-by-wire one. Not yet available, I have to keep saying that. It's still in the testing phase, but this is a new stable build, and I'll run through some of the changes in a moment. So good, the stream's all good there. Lewis, you're in Wales, good evening. Is it snowing? Robert, no, fly-by-wire mods haven't fixed VNav yet. That is a big complicated issue. But as Digital Flight Deck has just said, they're working on their own flight system and autopilot for that. So let's give them time. They're doing amazing. Passing 10,000 feet, and we can release the cabin. We haven't got anyone here anyway. It's just us and you. Bartek Manflex is working. Yeah, it's been working for a while, that one. Lewis, you're doing JFK to Heathrow in the Neo. Well, it's perfectly doable, so that's fine. Garth, you are correct. It's actually 0.5.2. God knows what the 0 is at the front of that. Maybe that's a whole new system. Teslix, have they solved the issue with flight plans getting messed up after using the SimBrief loading option? I'm not entirely sure. Could be I've not had any issues with it. Has anybody else? Let me know. Okay, passing 10,000 feet, so seatbelts as required. EFIS can now go to airport, nav aids. Can be cleared out if we need to. Secondary flight plan is that's not yet working, is it? No, not yet. ECAM memo, all good. And our optimum altitude for the flight is, so optimum is 390, our max ceiling is 390, so we could actually go higher if we wanted. We can stick at 350 for this, however. And the anti-ice will come off when SAT equals minus 40. In fact, to be fair, we've got no more clouds here, so we can turn anti-ice off now. Did I already turn anti-ice off? Oh guys, tell me I'd already turned the anti-ice off. Otherwise, that's a bug. I didn't expect anti-ice to come off on its own. There are some features of the icing which are automatic, but not the push buttons as far as I'm aware. The probe window heat is automatic, however the wing and engines are not. Come here, so when will this A320NX be released? When it's been tested enough. That's the best answer I can give you at the moment. Bravo Kilo, are we going to be able to change star fixes with this build? I'm going to say negative. That's all to do with the autopilot and the navigation system within Microsoft Flight Simulator itself. Daniel, hello from Denmark. Innsbruck, going skiing. I could do that if I opened the door. I had our tea, went outside, threw some stuff in the bin. It was snowing. Daniel, how's the physics in Microsoft Flight Sim A320? If you want better physics, you're definitely better off downloading the custom fly-by-wire systems that the fly-by-wire guys have made. I'm going to say that again. So, obviously the A320 is a fly-by-wire aircraft. Well, the fly-by-wire team have improved the physics of the fly-by-wire systems on the A320 here in Flight Sim, and to get that you need to head over to their GitHub page and you can download their custom fly-by-wire version. That was really good. Garth, I take it the update 5.2 will happen automatically with the A320NX updated. If you're using the installer, yeah, you'll be able to just see that that's there. Alexander, if you want the PC specs, they will be on the screen in a moment. If anyone wants the add-ons as well, there you go. Nightbot doing me a favour there. Polish Pilot, hello, you're new, thanks for joining. Anthony, seems like a big investment with all the adding and planes. Well, not really. So far, I've purchased the simulator and nothing else. Fly-by-wire is free. The fly-by-wire mod is free. We've passed 10,000 feet. Why have we not turned the landing lights off? So, not at all. Tesla, you did Halifax to Canada yesterday with the Neo. Excellent. Louis, when are we getting the Europe update? That's towards the end of January, isn't it? I want to say 27th of January, but I may have just plucked that figure out of the air. Sean O'Reilly, can I be your mod? Mate, contact me on Discord. Yeah, as Digital Flight Deck says, the Microsoft Flight Sim, it is the future. I do believe it is the future. It is pretty future-proof. So Nick, you're checking the anti-ice, thank you very much. Do I recommend the stable instead of the dev build? Nothing is wrong with the stable build, that is absolutely perfect. The dev build is getting new things added into it all of the time. So sometimes new things cause issues which us QA testers have not picked up on. So the stable is exactly as it sounds, stable. The dev build is continuously progressing. Once the dev build gets to a certain stage where there's quite a few new features in it and they are all 100% working, then they get popped into the stable build. Does the weather radar come with fly-by-wire mod? Simon, the weather radar comes with the default A320. That's how advanced the simulator was. Mad Pilot, long time no see. Oh, your joystick broke, you're joking. 6 weeks to play again, no joystick available due to high demand. Wow. Haven't your neighbours got one in their loft that is just collecting dust? Okay, so who wants to go through the approach into Innsbruck with me? So it's the Tulsi 3 Alpha arrival route, and we want to be at 9,500 feet by then. So the first thing I'm going to work out is how far away do we need to start our descent. We are going to be cruising at flight level 350, which means we need to lose 25,500 feet. Divide that by 1,000, 25.5, multiply by 3 and add 10. Gives us 86.5 miles. So call that 90 miles for good measure. So 90 miles from the Tulsi waypoint. We would like to start our descent. Nick Burrows, did I turn off anti-icing? Oh, see, I'm just getting too efficient. That's because I'm used to HD slapping me if I don't. Fine, Gavin, sorry. Previous to takeoff, do you pull the stick forwards until you reach 80... Well, okay, so pull the stick forwards is a bit of a contradiction. Push the stick down about halfway until you reach 80 knots, then slowly bring it back to the central position. You need to be central and or neutral, as it's called, by 100 knots. Howling crazy, here you are, back on YouTube with the rest of us. Lewis, will we ever see chemtrails? No, probably not. We'll see contrails though. Andy, been having a problem with the ND freezing and no longer updating when I hit the first waypoint of the arrival. Anyone else had this problem? I've not. Has anybody else had this problem? It's not one I'm familiar with. Okay, so just continuing our approach briefing. So, at or above 9,500 feet. We definitely want to be at about 9,500 feet by the Rattenberg NDB. So once we get there, that's where the fun really begins. Just waiting for my Navigraph charts to load. So once we hit the Rattenberg NDB, then we fly a heading of 210. And we intercept the localizer at around 21 miles away from the runway. That's not strictly true because the OEV, which is the identifier, is halfway down the runway to be completely accurate. Maximus, how long does it take to learn to fly on the simulator? How realistic do you want it to be? If you want it to be ultra realistic, I'm still learning and I've been flying simulators for 20 years. If you want to jump into a Cessna and fly, it's a very short amount of time and you can just go enjoy the scenery. Andy, found one post that says it might be a conflict between the A320NX and working title G100. Yes, absolutely. If you are flying any mod of an aircraft, please, please, please only fly with one of those in your community folder at a time. So just take anything you're not using out of the community folder. If you don't, you will get conflicts. So if you learn nothing more from this stream other than that, then let that be it. Only one mod at a time, ladies and gentlemen. Edgar Odd Crispsin Vlog. I love the names people have. Hello, thanks for watching. Captain Viv, so what's added? Matty Gaming, hello. Right, okay, do you know what? We've got time. So, this is, as I say, a lot of these you won't even notice, but there are a couple that are important. So, the central display unit changing from cruise to descent speed to acknowledge any speed restrictions that you get and the constraints. 2 tiny fixes for flight phase speeds. We also fixed the altitude button, setting the speed on ATC request. Now, I don't use default ATC, so I've never seen that happen. Error messages now print for invalid trip winds as well. Okay, so here's one that we can go in and test. So on the navigation display, you can obviously set different modes, so different roses. At the moment, we're in the ARC. So if I go to navigation, VOR, or the ILS, then you shouldn't be able to see the flight plan, and previously you could. So let's change that. So there you go. In the VOR mode and the land system mode, no longer is the flight plan displayed. So that's working, which is good, because that's quite off-putting when you're doing any the ILS approach and you've got another line on the map that you don't want. I shall continue that in a moment. We've just reached our cruise altitude. So Ecam memo is all good. Let's flick through. Let's cycle through the SD pages, shall we? So, engine normal. Bleeds all looking good. Cabin elevation is still at minus 2,000 feet. Never mind. Oh, there's a slight improvement there. Battery 2 is now showing as being on, and generator 1 is on. APU is still showing as being on, but I'm pretty certain it is not. We can confirm that in a moment. Hydraulics not yet modelled. Fuel we know has been fine for a long time now. APU turned off. There's the condition of the aircraft. All the doors closed. Wheels nice and chilled, ready for our landing, and flight controls are fine as well. So, nothing there. Check our flight progress. So we are direct Chemad, and about 18 minutes into the flight. So we should be at Chemad in a couple of minutes. That's fine. And yeah, we've got plenty of fuel as well for this point in our flight plan, so that's good as well. So operational flight plan, times and fuel check, all good. En route weathers, we would obtain those as well if we were doing a very realistic flight. Cabin temperature, monitor that as well. Okay, so let me crack on with what I was saying about the changes that we have. So where did I get to? We just checked the flight route, now hidden in the VOR rows and ILS rows mode. So miscellaneous fix. The first officer's display has been synced with the captain's displays. That is now fixed. I don't really have an issue with that, because I always turn the first officer's displays off anyway. Fixed the outer fuel tank transfer. So that means if you ever saw that message, the outer tank fuel transfer, and you'd see it was flashing on off, it should come on and stay on then for the remainder of your flight. So that's now fixed. Here's a big one that a lot of people have been reporting: flight model. So fixed flaps 1 unrecoverable dives. So for those of you that have been suffering with that, that is now fixed in the flight model. One that I've been suffering with, this next one: fixed spoiler auto retract after landing, as it wasn't working. We've done a few flights and seen that happen. API fixed connection issues when using default air traffic control and SimBrief. again, I don't use default air traffic control, so I've never seen that. Checklist, apparently there was a typo in one of the preparation checklists. TCAS, fix TCAS traffic mode, switch not turning. Was that not turning? Let me just have a look. Oh yeah, there we go. So above, below, there we are. So we can now set that. So that is now set to all. And I'm actually conducting this with live traffic. So there is allegedly other aircraft in the sky. You never know, we might see one. Although there's not really much flying at the moment, is there, sadly. Fixed some background lightings as well on the displays. Added missing unit conversion to cruise and engine page. Improved flapped auto retraction detection on the ECAM, and a couple of textures as well. So yeah, a couple of big things which are very noticeable, a few things which are not noticeable really. Right, while I've been doing that, I've completely missed what's been going on in the chat. Oh, Wolf, what you doing spamming the chat, mate? My night bot will come and get you. FSSim, any word on when the A380 will release? I'm afraid not. No. Chuck, I have a question. When I went to play, the screens flicker. Is there a fox for this? Presume you mean fix. I've not seen the screens flicker, so something tells me it may be a graphics issue. Try turning your settings down, see if that works, or reduce the refresh rate of your screens. Magic Norm, have I ever used the ground speed by 5 rule for VS? No, I just use the normal top of the same one, which I've discussed many times here on the channel, and it just comes down to experience. I think a lot of it is experience. Gordon, I don't have a Navigraph subscription, so SimRiff shows me a red box for the outdated Eric's ankle. Can this have effects on the flight plans generated? It can do, yes, it can. Mainly because, as we had tonight, an update from, wow, look at that weather front. Sorry, got distracted there. Yes, so the update tonight on the flight simulator was essentially an update in the AirX cycle, as we checked in the nav database at the start of the flight. So if some of the waypoints have changed, some of the airways have exit or entrance waypoints that are different, then it may cause an issue. So it is worth noting. Ronald, hello my friend. Majlo 2016, hello from Poland. Love Poland, great country. It's been years since I've been there. So Limitless, I've just been through everything that's in the new build. Was my throttle stuttering? I don't know. We're not quite in the climb detect, actually. You're quite right. I have a oversensitive thrust lever. Oh, there it is. Can you hear it again? John, my Airbus FlyByWire just started crashing to desktop today for some reason. Which version are you using, my friend? Mad Pilot is correct. The X-Plane is still the king for absolute accuracy. But I do think this will get there over time. Fran Gavin, do you use any other ATC software instead of the default ATC that implements on the sim? No, I'm afraid I don't. I use VATSIM and nothing else. I did use Pro ATC, however, with FSX, so that's good. Mucklechen, I can't write anything in the init page. What am I doing wrong? are you importing things through SimBrief, and then are you trying to populate the page and type things in correctly? Make sure you're, I mean, obviously you're trying to write stuff, so I presume you know your scratch pad's got to be empty before you start writing. That's really difficult to see without a picture or anything. Tell you what, join us on Discord. Send some pictures in of what's happening. So there's the Discord link. Nightbot has given you that. Join us on Discord. There's a load of us on there to help you, myself included. So if you want to join us on Discord, there you go. Those cloud walls are actually more realistic than you think. Ollie, does it mean when I get this mod the screen should stop flashing? Who knows? Maybe. Maybe. But I don't know. Flashing screen sounds still a little bit more like a graphics issue than anything else. Captain Viv, does lowering your Windows refresh rate give you better FPS? I've no idea. You can lower the screen's FPS. Definitely lower that. The refresh rate, sorry, of the can't think of the word. You know what I mean? The PFD, the ND, those screens. Someone help me out. My mind's just drawing a blank. Lowering the refresh rate of those screens certainly does help, yes. Romsey, do I think Rex is worth buying now or stick to default for VATSIM? I fly on VATSIM with default, never had an issue. And I think Digital Flight Deck has just taken the words right out of my mouth. Rex was great when it was released, but as we knew they would do, Azobo and Windows caught up very, very quickly, so kind of rendered it a bit useless, really. And as I keep telling people, this simulator has been out 6 months, not even that, is it? What was it? August, September, October, November, December, January, nearly 6 months. It's a baby. There's still lots to improve upon. Harley Reynolds, hello. Thanks for joining. Kyle, I found something today where if you put the in-game drop menu into windowed mode, then it gives a massive frame rate boost. Oh, okay. Have to try that. Next question, how do you do that? And to be fair, I'm already in windowed mode. And the reason I am in windowed mode, in fact I wouldn't need to be for this particular flight, but I am in windowed mode normally if I'm on VATSIM and using self-loading cargo. Yeah, good evening. Any major changes in the new stable version? Major changes, that's a good question. Define major changes. Hopefully my spoilers will retract automatically. That's been fixed. I mean, the things that I'm really going to notice more are your flight routes hidden in the VOR rows and the ILS rows. First officer, no, not that one. Fixed outer tank fuel transfers, flashing on and off, on and off, on and off. That should just remain on. Fixed for flaps 1 unrecoverable dives. That's not an issue I've had, but an issue I've seen lots of people have had. So yeah, they're the biggest things for me. Kieran, you just brought the Oculus Rift. Congratulations. How are you finding it? Have you been sick yet? How much time left for approaching? Not very long. Well, we should be on the ground in about half an hour. Not the longest flight in the world. Vert Pilot Elo from Finland. Oof. Are we departing from there next with our EasyJet aircraft? Is that where we parked it? Are we in Stockholm? I think we're in Stockholm. So, yeah, we're not in Finland. Alexander, you're personally an Airbus fan. Do I prefer Airbus or Boeing? I prefer Airbus. It's just much more intuitive, isn't it? Or I think it is. Okay, you're talking about the actual things like ATC menu and stuff like that. Oh, okay. Yep, I agree, it does sound major enough. Kyle, you went from 30 to 100. Are you sure that's just by windowing your ATC? Yeah, your Nivea FPS overlay was probably looking at the refresh rate of your ATC window, not the simulator. No, have I ever done the RNAV 8 approach to Lowy? Yes, I have, but not in Flight Sim 2020. Sadly, the weather today is not an RNAV approach. It will be the localizer approach, which is difficult enough. Do I fly for Easyjet virtual or just like Easyjet? The story behind that is I've got some very good friends that are actual real-world Easyjet pilots. So I use their standard operating procedures and things like that, and it's kind of a thank you to them, really. And one day I hope to be sponsored by Stelios, but that's another story. So yeah, the RNAV approach into Lowy, that's usually used for runway 8. There is an RNAV for runway 26, but that's only for really advanced aircraft with the GPS, which I don't believe we've got yet. Yep, it is 4 degrees off. You're right, my friend. That is because it is an offset localizer. So that's something else that we should probably brief in our approach. So with that, we're probably not that far away from our top of descent at the moment. So worth noting then, if you have got the charts, Navigraph, it is the localizer R runway 26 approach. Rattenberg, NDB, and then we're on the offset localizer all the way down. Let's start putting some information in here. So let's get the latest weather first of all. See what's happening with that. Sam C, what's up with the weather radar? It's just got airport data on it, that's all. So I could change it to go to constraints. That's probably what you're more familiar with seeing, isn't it? But above 10,000 feet you want airports on. I'm also zoomed out to the maximum as well, so we can bring it in a little bit so it looks more familiar. Have the airports on just in case you have a problem. You want to know where you are and where you can land. Right, have I got the weather yet? Messages received. Meta, here we go. So what can we expect? Winds light and variable at 2 knots. Excellent. I don't want it to be windy. It's windy enough normally going into Innsbruck. So we can put that as in fact we can put that at 230 at 2. Did I say 2.3? Sorry, I meant 2.60. No, I didn't. Yeah, 2.60 at 2 knots. 2.60 at 2 knots, and the fuel cloud's 8,000 feet, -4, ouch. And 1017, with no significant changes. Romsey is showing every airport, mate. I was just zoomed out very, very far. So that's why it was showing everything. Andy, you tried the RNAV Zulu approach into Lowy earlier and it simply didn't work for you at all, but the navigation was frozen per the previous problem you had. Fair enough. Well, remember the RNAV approach for runway 26 is a very special RNAV approach. It needs a highly accurate GPS system. Not all airlines have it. So the localizer approach is the norm for that. Right, let's get this data punched into our performance page. QNH 1017. Oops. There we go. Temperature -5. I'm now getting the message to it up in the destination data just as we're doing it. Winds variable, so 260 at 2. Transition altitude. This is high, isn't it? Transition altitude by ATC. Okay. Right, well, in that case, we'll set that at 11. No, we won't. We'll go a little bit higher. We'll go for 16,000 feet. Not that that matters. There's no ATC online, but pop that in there. Minimum descent altitude, then, for this approach is very high. 2250. So if we can't see the airport by then, we need to consider going around, which we'll discuss in a moment. So VAP 134. Okie dokies. Right, so we'll be starting our descent in about 40 miles or so. So the missed approach is climb to 11,500 feet via the RNAV missed approach track to the Rattenberg NDB. Now this is where we actually have a small problem, in that the missed approach track is not yet functional in Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. So you you kind of have to use your distances and do it manually, but never mind. Yep, so with Cat 3 you have a minimum descent altitude of 50 to 100. You actually have a decision height, not a minimum descent altitude. You're making the decision onto whether to let the aircraft carry on for its full auto land, but it gets a little bit more complicated. Captain Shark 21, hello. Is this a stable? This is a stable version, but it is in pre-release, so we're just testing that out. So a soon to be released stable version. Digital flight deck, just do it right the first time. Said every pilot ever. Okay, so just go to the RadNav page, check we're queued in 111.1, that's correct. I can see the automatic direction finder flashing RTT there, can you see that? So if we, is that on ADF 1? Yeah. So we turn that on. There it is. Don't need that on, however. Not long till the top of our descent now. Greetings from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Enjoying the trip. Thank you. Hope you are. Let's hope you enjoyed landing as much. Am I doing the famous runway 08 approach? No, Darth Duck, I'm not. The weather today is, I mean, technically the winds are variable, so you can choose, but realistically, if you were doing this in the real world, you wouldn't choose runway 8. Plus, we're also coming in on the track that we've got. We want to be coming in from the east. Ramsey, what's the difference between VOR and ADF? So, ADF really, you don't use them too much anymore. Automatic direction finders, they literally point towards the non-directional beacons. VOR again is quite dated as well, so you've got a VOR gives you normally the distance from it and the the distance from it and a direct heading you can use, so you can, as digital flight decks just popped actually, you can fly a specific compass to it, whereas ADF just tunes to the station and points to it. Doesn't even give you a distance, or most of them don't. Roaring aviation, mate, that's tough. Don't quit YouTube. Don't quit. Ignore everything. Ignore everything, my friend. Join us on the. If it comes to the worst, then join the Discord server. Join the Discord server. We're all good. We're all happy on there, and we'll continue to instruct you on there if that's what you want to do. Ian Cummings, good evening. Good to see you. Scandi941, hello. Where's that Discord link? Let me get that again for you guys. Jonas Christiansen, can I fly the 747? Not a chance. No idea. I've not been instructed on how to fly one of those. Okay, I think this is the latest Discord link. If someone wants to try and join the group, try that for me. Scandi941, you've just finished the 4th flight on VATSIM. How'd that go? Was it all good? Hope so. Bart, happy to be here. Looking forward to the landing. You and me both. Hobby Sim, how do I get a weather report from the FMC? Right, I just need to start our descent. Have I got time to show you that? Right, I need to just start our descent, I'm afraid. So, let me do that. Then I'll quickly talk us through it. That's one hell of a tailwind. So we're going to start descending now to 9,500 feet. And given the speed of the wind behind us, 2,000 feet per minute, and let's pull the pull that back. Oh, I still can't switch to speed, to knots. Oh well, never mind. That'll be the next update, presumably. Oh. Oh no. Right, guys. I've just had a simulator crash. The simulator has literally just disappeared from the screen. I have never ever had that before. So, annoying doesn't begin to explain how that's worked. Oh dear. RIP Stable Build. So, I'm presuming you guys can now just see me with a black screen. The simulator has literally disappeared. So, not entirely sure what has happened with that. This is why we test stable builds. That's unstable, isn't it? We had two things going on tonight as well. Remember, we had an update from the flight simulator itself, and then obviously we had the new stable build that I was testing out, and something dreadful has happened. This is my first crash to desktop ever. The only other time that's actually happened, do you remember a while ago when we had the whenever you opened the VFR map, I must have been the last person in the world to find that out. You opened VFR map and the simulator crashed. Thankfully I was on the ground at the time, so it made no difference. But there we are. The sim has just crashed. So maybe conflict with the latest FS 2020 update. Absolutely could be. Digital flight deck, of course, it's aliens. It's always aliens. No, but it happens to you just when starting to descend too. Now you see, the problem that I've got with this is, and I'll stay online for a little bit, even though we've lost the sim. The problem I've got with that is that I would, without sounding like I'm boasting, I've got the most stable system I've ever had. I've not had a single crash to desktop. So every time someone's telling me this has happened or this has happened, I've kind of had to go, oh, why? What have you got? What have you got in the community for that? So that's really, really annoying, isn't it? I'm going to guess though that every one of you here has had a simulator crash at some point. You have all just been witness to my first simulator crash, and of course it had to happen during a live stream, didn't it? Did someone swear in the chat? Is that the problem? I hope not. Okay. So Crash to Desktop. Ironically, what a great name. Crash to Desktop. There was no sim update. Yeah, there was an update this evening, but it was only updating the AirX cycle. So how annoying is that? Everyone's had the Iceland one. Yeah, Digital Flight Deck. I just avoided Iceland. Yep, I did update the flight sim today as well. So that's been done. Andy, I'm impossibly lucky never to have had one. Honestly, never have. And everyone here that isn't new to the channel will have seen all of the streams we've done. Literally hours and hours and hours of content. And never a single issue. So that's frustrating, isn't it? That's very frustrating. Okay, right. What to do. I'm assuming, guys, when you guys have had a sim crash, do you even get a crash box? This literally just disappeared. Disappeared from the taskbar. Gone. Finito. How strange. Terry always crashes when messing with the McDo. Ooh. Well, never mind. Yep, you're still a crash to desktop virgin. Yeah, well, you've just watched me all lose my virginity there then, haven't you? How annoying. Chris Kane, is there any major updates coming in this stable build? Yeah, major update. The sim crashed. But aside from that, alright. So, Pete, I think you've got the best idea. We're going to have to try that again, aren't we? Not sure what has happened at all. With that, though, we're probably going to have to sign off for this evening. I'm going to go away, do a little bit of investigating, and see what I can find out. How annoying is that? There we are. So guys, I hope you have a good weekend. Words are starting to fail me now because I've never even prepped for a sim crash before, particularly not while live streaming, but there you go. Yeah, Flight Near, I guess we conclude it's stable then, because it's working just like all of the others. You could sleep back to the descent. Do you know what? Let me try something. Bear with me. Right, I'm just fiddling around with the desktop at the moment. The only things that I've still got in the community folder are a couple of airports, but we've not had any issues with those. So I don't think it's anything to do with them. Oh, Captain Viv, you've been away. Did you miss it? Oh, no. So, simulator crash. How annoying is that? Alright, guys. Let me just try something. If I can. See if I can just jump back into the simulator. If nothing else, it would be nice to try and get that landing in Innsbruck, wouldn't it? Yeah? I need you guys to keep me going here because I'm feeling defeated. So, let's try and get the sim reloaded, and we might just try and see if we can get an approach into Innsbruck sorted using the practice your landing tutorial that I've done several times. Let's see if we can get it running. Alright, so Flight Simulator is restarting. I haven't got time to do a full flight again, digital flight deck. It's Friday night. I'm shattered. I've been homeschooling all day. I'm ready for beer and bed. So let's get this restarted. Let's see what happens if I can get the... see if we can at least get on the ground in Innsbruck, shall we? So while I'm doing this, this may take 6-7 minutes to load. That is before we're flying again, not the sim. Fine, why don't we do the community flight tomorrow with the same flight plan and see what happens? Do you know what I will do? I will leave my flight plan in SimBrief. So if anybody wants to try it, get in the A320, set your username to Easyjetsimpilot, download my SimBrief flight plan, and see what happens. See if you can make it. Hobby Sim, for the weather report, every time I send a request I get not available. Why? Are you set up? How have you set that up? Because you can choose where to get your weather updates from. So if you're getting them from VATSIM and they're not online, then that will happen. So it could be that. Not Friday the 13th, is it? Not far off. Jose, I have a problem with the A320NX. In final approach, the engines and electric system completely turn off. Oh, have you got failures enabled? I didn't have failures enabled, but we had a crash anyway. Alright guys, let me see if I can earn some brownie points from you all by staying on and redoing this. Maybe it's fed up of streaming. We've done every day this week. Started on Monday. I normally have the weekends off. Sometimes I get on in the evenings once I've put the kids to bed and need to relax. But yeah, we have been on every day this week. Photo stop. Probably flight level on the do after importing SimBrief. It's stuck at 10,000. Should be much higher. What's wrong? What exactly is stuck at 10,000 feet, may I ask? So, a couple of things that could be. Let's get this loaded up, shall we? Let's see if we can get that. Gav invented beer in bed. Absolutely. That's my B&B. That's my. That is my kind of B&B. Okay. All right. I actually never used the installer, or didn't until I was a QA tester. But I need the installer to get the the pre-release builds. But before then, I always downloaded it manually. So Captain Viv, if anyone wants to fly this particular flight that I was doing, anybody can do it. Anyone can do it. Right, okay, so let's see. So I want live weather. Yeah, live weather, but let me just change the time of day. There we go, something a little bit more daylight. Close that. And where's Innsbruck gone? Oh, there it is. Innsbruck. I'll set that as our arrival. Which there we go, that's the right. And Innsbruck vicinity. Do you know what? I'd like to be a little bit further than 19 kilometers away. The problem with this is I'm not sure I can actually set the altitude. Oh. So if we set that as our departure, can I set the altitude of this anyway? Because otherwise, God knows what height it's going to set us at. We could end up spawning into the 5,000 feet. No, that's far too low. Far too low. I'm going to end up spawning in the middle of a mountain. Oh, that's a pain. That's a big, big pain. Boxer Steve, no. We've just had a simulator crash. So we've got the legend on. And can we go to, can we set off from a certain legend? Actually, yeah, if we select the star, does that give us a correct altitude? In which case I need to go like that and select arrival. Tools 3 and approach lock 26 right. If we set this as our custom departure point, then or can I select that as our departure point? It's got us down as airborne. Does that mean we're still going to be in the middle of the Alps as we set that? 9,000 feet. Yeah, we can slew there. Alright, let's try this. Let's see what happens. We've just got airborne. May have to hit slew as soon as we get going. Minimum safe altitude at this point is, from the Rattenberg, is 10,300 feet. That's the minimum safe altitude. We'll see. The problem is, guys, I'm not used to modifying the altitudes or things like this. It's not something I normally do. So, if you guys have played around with the simulator a little bit more, then you're probably more on with what it is to do than I am. Oh, we're in the air. That's a positive start. Okay, so we're in the air, but we're heading north. That's not right. I'm turning you off. Alright, let's see what's happening. Whoa, okay, let's not start descending. Can we start climbing, please? I want the auto thrust on. Do you know what? I am going to hit active pause for a moment. Can't stay in active pause too long because we all know what happens if we do. So that's climb thrust set. So I'm going to start spooling up. I want 9,500 feet. And pop the constraints on. Turn active pause off for a moment. Okay, let's do this. Check my RadNav page. That's correct. Enter destination data. We'll leave that for now. I can't remember what it was. Now, what mode are we in? Are we in the approach mode yet? No, we're not in the approach phase, so that's okay. There's some big hills. There we go. That's fine. And this is the weather that I was expecting when we got here as well, so we just have to pretend that everything that happened a bit ago didn't happen. Could someone grab me the METAR, please, for Innsbruck? I will enter the approach data and get that done properly. Thanks, Yap. So here we go. Performance data, let's get it in. QNH 1017. 1017. I'll take the chat down as well in a moment, guys. Minimum descent altitude was 2250. 2250. I love it when you're all working with me. temperature was -5, wasn't it? I remember that. And the winds were variable. So I'll set that to 260 at 2. If anyone's got an update on those, feel free to give them to me. I've also set a phantom transition altitude just because that would normally be given to us. What's my weight? I don't want that much fuel on board. Let me empty that. Empty the tanks. We don't need that much. There we go. That's better. Last place you want to be landing heavy is in Innsbruck, isn't it? Nick, thank you very much. That's what I was after. Sand Sky, what's wrong with the thrust throttle? What to you looks strange about that? Andy, I know mate, so was I, but here we go again. We can only do what we can do, can't we? We're back on it. We're back on it. No, I don't have the Thrustmaster TCA side stick. Not yet, anyway. Yeah, so you can see them wobbling a little bit there. Cheers from ES. GG, no problem. Alright, so let's start prepping for our arrival into Innsbruck. Nothing has changed then, essentially. Boxer Steve, if you stay in active pause for too long, when you take active pause off, your aircraft just crashes. Because basically, all the weather environment around you continues to live and breathe, but not the aircraft. Chat is in the stream. Thank you, Darth Duck. Let me get rid of that. So we're already... And you know what? After that, I better mess the landing up now. Okay, below 10,000 feet, landing lights are on. Taxi lights on. Runway turn-off light is on. Seatbelt signs on. Emergency exit signs to auto. Everything else should be extinguished as they are. So that's working nicely. Okay, so we are now in the approach phase, which means we're going to start slowing down to green dot speed. Landing system is on. There we go. Bastian, yep, this is the log R runway 26 approach. So we're going to start to configure now. Flaps 1. Alexander, the landing lights should be on. Oh, correct. Good spot. They're already extended. In that case, why was landing lights on the ECAM? Something to note. So here we are at Rattenberg, now heading to 210. XC Flight Saver, they need to update the whole game because it hasn't been performed for you for the best lately. Ah, tell me what's happening. Why not? We've got snow! Snow on the ground, how lovely. Okay guys, remember that this is an offset localizer as well, so if it doesn't look like we're aligned when you see the runway, that is entirely normal. Don't be worried about that. So not until 19 miles OEV, which is down here. So 19 miles OEV, bottom left, do we want to start our descent. And we can start to configure early. So that's flaps 2. Mr. Silent Sky, that was the whole point of the flight, my friend. Yesterday we we landed there on another test flight, which was more successful than the one I've just done. Magnus, thank you very, very much for your support. I have needed it today. I have really needed it since we had the crash to desktop a moment ago. So you have no idea how grateful I am to you for that. Thank you for your donation once again. Okay, so localizer mode is going on. We should capture that in a moment. Speed's absolutely fine, Alexander. I'm going to start that descent in 2 miles. Now, this is where you really need a first officer, because they can be calling out your descent and the altitude you need to be at. So interestingly enough, why are we not intercepting the lock? Lockstar. Andy, thank you very, very much for your contribution and donation. They're all very... There we go, we're now intercepting that. They're all very, very much appreciated after the issues we've had tonight, certainly. Okay, let's begin that descent. So with that, we can set our descent rate. Here we go. And we want to be descending at about... Why have we got a glide slope? Shouldn't have a glide slope. So this isn't an ILS approach. Yeah, no, didn't think so. This is not an ILS approach, guys. This is a localizer only approach. So I wonder if it's reading. There is an RNAV as well here for this approach. Not that we're using it. Shouldn't be picking up the RNAV. So what we're basically doing is we're keeping an eye on our distance. You can see that in the bottom left-hand corner. So with that, I'm actually going to disconnect the autopilot because I'm not entirely convinced that's working for us. We'll put the landing gear down. We're now 14 miles out. Ground spoilers are armed. $14 miles out. We need to be at 7,500 feet. So slightly above profile at the moment. Bastion, it's a very good question. Why does it say ILS? It shouldn't do. It is a localizer approach. We can also turn off the flight director as well. We want to be at 5,500 by 9 miles. It is a steeper than normal descent rate as well, guys. So if it looks like we are at a nose down attitude, but that is why. Flaps 3. So if you actually look at that glide slope, if you want to call it that, it's not entirely accurate. At the moment, I'm still looking for the runway lights because they are being obscured by snow. I think I can just about make them out. 6.3 miles, 4,400. So we can now just start to lower that rate of descent a little bit. Sorry, yeah, lower the rate of descent. I don't want to be coming down quite as quickly as we were doing. $4,500. Hold that for until we are 6.3 miles. Can you guys see the runway yet? Mr. Silent Sky has have said there is no glide slope. I don't know what that's tracking. It may be a descent path angle from an RNAV. Okay, got the runway in sight at least, so we'll be happy to continue in a moment. If anyone's asking me questions in the chat at the moment, I am afraid I'm not going to respond. Got bigger things to concentrate on, I'm afraid. Flight directory is off because we're not following it, my friend. That is why. You don't want something on there that's going to confuse you. Flaps full. Hopefully, guys, you can now see the runway in front of us. This is the first time I've actually seen snow cover here in the simulator. Okay, so brakes Mac, and we'll ding the cabin. Not that we actually had one. So even in the real world at this point, you would be fully visual on your approach. So looking outside the window. And the minimum descent height was something like 2,200 feet or there or thereabouts. If you can't see the runway by that point, then you had to go around. Thankfully, we can see the runway quite nicely. Here it is. Oh, reflection off the... Did you see that, guys? The reflection off the sun, off the water, off the river. That was great. It was off-putting, but it was realistic. It's covered completely in snow. Ha ha.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5.
Reverse is on. Auto brake was armed and is lit up, so we know that's working. Welcome to Innsbruck, finally, after a slight technical glitch. I'm glad we kept the stream rolling, guys, and thank you very much to all of you for supporting us through there. Okay, right. So with that, I think I'm going to have to do some more testing, just because I've never ever had the crash before. So we're definitely going to have to do some more testing with that. I'm going to have to leave that there, guys. But wow, this looks great. This looks really good. The only thing missing is lines in the runway, isn't it? Thank you very much to all the subscribers. Thank you very much to all of you for watching. Thank you to the donators for really keeping us going throughout a bad moment in the stream this evening. I still see spoilers are up. Definitely some testing still need to be done. Farron, wow, you're too kind. I will drop you an email back. Don't you worry about that. Thank you very, very much to all you that donated through stickers and super chats this evening, and of course via PayPal links as well. I look forward to seeing you all again very, very soon. And Christian, final thing, auto thrust switches off as soon as you pull the thrust levers back to idle. You don't have to click the button. Thanks very much, guys. Have a great weekend, and get me on the Discord server. I'll come and chat with you. Thanks very much for watching. Goodbye for now.